don't need a high-end designer or a lot of money to get a luxe look. Be your own interior designer.
This is Affordable Interior Design, the podcast.
Here's your host, Betsy Helmuth.
My first question comes from Lori, and Lori's writing from Indianapolis, Indiana. She writes, "Hi, Betsy. I've just moved into a house with my new husband, and I must tell you, your podcast has changed my life. Every decorating decision is well thought out and deliberate, instead of buying all the things I love. I love a lot. The money that I have saved asking myself, does this fit my two-word design profile, is more than you can imagine. We both purged almost all of our belongings so we could start fresh in this home. We are going for industrial ranch. He likes industrial and I love ranch/Western. We have found some nice tables and accent pieces. However, it is time for that major investment, the couch. I know how you feel about leather couches. However, I have my heart set on a chunky leather couch with nailhead trim inspired by my favorite show, Yellowstone. Here is my question. We have barely started shopping and are already confused about the different types of leather that are available. We've got full grain, top grain, split grain, bonded. Considering how expensive and important this piece will be, I want to make sure we buy a high quality couch that will be durable and functional, as we also have dogs. Is there a certain type of leather that you can recommend? Thanks again for your guidance." Well, yes. Yes, Lori, as you know, I do not enjoy leather couches. Leather couches turn into a slip and slide for all your throw pillows and blankets. Additionally, when you're curled up on your leather couch to binge watch Yellowstone, which I have yet to watch, but I hear is amazing, then, you get sweaty because leather does not breathe like fabric does, especially if you're wearing shorts or something like that, where your skin might actually kind of stick to the leather. And then, fabric can stain, but stains are something that oftentimes you can get out, especially if you pick a performance fabric. But leather, once it's scratched, can be very hard to repair. For those reasons, for those of you who don't know that I don't love leather sofas, for all those reasons, I do not typically suggest a leather sofa for my clients. That being said, sometimes it does make sense. So I did some research for you because I have just enough knowledge of leather to be dangerous. I have bonded leather dining chairs. I have a beautiful leather ottoman that has a nice patina, but I wanted to get you the straight story on each type. So I went online and went to this website called Shinola, shinola.com, shinola.com. And they outline the different types of leather. So I'm going to just go through it with you here because certainly there were lots of websites that do this, but I really thought that their descriptions were the easiest to kind of understand and wrap your head around in a quick way. So there are 5 types of leather. The first is full grain leather. Now they describe full grain leather is a top of the line leather. It's crafted from the outer layer, of the hide, and it contains densely packed fibers that have a finer grain. Usually only the hair on the hide has been removed, leaving natural imperfections in the material. Full grain leather without imperfections is known to be very rare and highly prized in the leather goods world. This piece of leather is praised for its high durability. Because of its natural production process, this leather will also slightly change color over time with continued use. Full grain leather is most often found in saddles, footwear, and upholstery. Many high-end leather producers also use full grain in their products. So that's full grain leather, and that's going to be that really expensive option. Now let's hear about top grain leather according to Shinola. They explain that top grain leather is a cut of leather almost identical to full grain leather. Top grain leather is also taken from the top layer of the hide. But the major difference is that top grain leather has been sanded or buffed so that all imperfections are removed. The sanding process results in a leather that can be easily dyed or shaped. Top grain leather is still considered a high-end leather, and it's used in many consumer products, wristwatches, handbags, wallets, book casings, upholsteries, and shoes. Now let's move to genuine leather. Genuine leather is down the list in terms of quality. And genuine leather is crafted from any layer of the hide. There's no specification for it. The leather goes through a good sanding or buffing process, which removes those imperfections. And genuine leather is typically used for belts, clothing, footwear, and upholstery. Then they talk about split grain leather. So split grain leather is cut from the lower parts of the hide. It's called split grain because you use the bottom material after you split the hide. It's not as strong as full grain or top grain, but it can still serve as a valuable function, as a valuable material. Shoes, purses, and sofas are most commonly made from split grain leather. This type of leather is also used to create suede. Now let's move to bonded leather. Bonded leather is a term that describes a material that's anywhere from 10% to 90% of leather, and it's manufactured from a lot of different scraps. It's typically used as a filler, and the scraps are bonded together with something like polyurethane or latex. Now, since the amount of actual leather varies greatly with this bonded material, you don't have guaranteed quality, just like you do with the other grades of leather that we discussed earlier. And manufacturers typically use bonded leather for couches or furniture, for instance, my dining chairs. So the quality is not as good. But I found with bonded leather, that is a lot of times on ottomans, benches, things like that, that it's so durable. You can wipe it off, you can wash it off. It's not fussy, it's not temperamental in terms of care, and it's much more affordable. I don't love a bonded leather couch. It does look a little bit cheap. It almost looks kind of like a vinyl because of the synthetic things that they use to kind of adhere the pieces together. Bonded leather is not the place you go for a chic, sophisticated look, but I have young children. I have a cat who likes to scratch. I have a lot of spills in my home. So for our dining chairs, it just made so much sense. So Lori, I know this is an investment piece for you and you're really excited to invest a lot. However, I want you to consider your dog's claws. I mean, I've dealt with leather couches that are so supple, beautiful, but so sensitive that even grommets on jeans could scratch it. So you just want to make sure that that kind of goes with the look you're hoping for. Speaking of the look you're hoping for, I'm glad I've saved you a lot of money with your 2-word phrase, but I want you to reconsider it because I think you've given me 2 styles. I don't know. Like you've given me the industrial style and you've given me sort of this Western ranch style. And for me, those are 2 styles. And we know that the 2-word phrase method is a style word as well as a feeling word. I think that the style word that best encapsulates both Western ranch and industrial would be rustic, because industrial is known to have sort of hand-hewn things, things that look rough, pipes, unfinished wood, where you can clearly see the wood grain, concrete, elements that look a little bit worn or imperfect. And that goes really well with with Western and ranch, excuse me. So I think rustic is your style word. It is your compromise between these 2 looks. And then you still need that feeling word. So maybe that's another place where you could compromise or check in with your spouse and figure out, what is our word together? You guys are newlyweds from your email. So I think this will be an even better way for you to get to know each other. And in fact, if you're worried that you don't know your style or not quite sure how you want your space to feel, head over to my website, affordableinteriordesign.com. When you log in there, there's a quiz that will pop up, and that quiz will ask you lots of style questions. You guys can take it separately so you can get to know each other's individual styles, individual preferences before merging them into this design for your new home. Keep me posted. Let me know the 2-word phrase you ultimately choose. And I can't wait to hear what grade of leather you choose for your sofa. Thanks for your email, Lori. A big thank you to Aton and the Embassy, who wrote our theme song. A shout out to Catherine Heller, who owns the podcast shop and is our editor extraordinaire. We also want to thank Ginny Sunasan and her team at the Savvy Podcast Agency for their help with our social, our YouTube channel, and so much more. We also want to thank Uploft, which is our parent company who supports this podcast. And lastly, we owe a huge debt of gratitude to you. Thank you so much for tuning in and for all your support.